Hello, everybody, and welcome to Command Point. I am Shane, and it is the 8th day of Kill Team today, and we are going to be talking about none other than Pathfinders, and I'm joined by none other than BEERANID 40K. How's it going?
It's going good. On the eighth day of Christmas, true love gave to me BEERANID.
Wow, is
How's
that
that?
on the fly?
Yeah,
That
there
was
we go.
wonderful. Um, but yeah, we're talking about Pathfinders, which you have been playing for so long. I mean, Tau is like one of your spirit teams, it feels like.
Yeah, I'm going on almost a year of these guys. Once LVO kicks over, it'll be pretty much a year straight running these
Nice.
boys.
Awesome. And you've been doing pretty well with them. So I'm gonna kick us off with our first question. So let's say somebody is trying to figure out their faction. They don't even own anything yet, but they want to get into Kill Team. For let's say they're looking at Pathfinders. How would you describe the play style of this faction in like kind of basic, broad terms?
Sure. So if somebody wants to go deeper into how I view the game, there's a recent episode of the Killzone podcast they can check out where I talk about hordes, elite, and elite teams. And I would classify these as horde. And once you get into horde, you start to get hard leans one way or the other, where it's like either a lot of melee, so a melee horde, or a lot of shooting and a shooty horde. I would classify these as a shooty horde. So you're trying to win early. A lot of times trying to score a lot turn one because you
Mm-hmm.
got diminishing returns happening as the game goes on. You tend to control one less objective or so this turn than you did last turn. So you jet out there, get as many as you can, and then start losing guys and hopefully have too much for the other player to come back is kind of the general philosophy of these. So shooty horde, 100% in my opinion.
Cool. So okay, that description you just gave me, for you personally as a player, what about that playstyle appealed to you? Like, why did you like that?
So I love hordes in general.
Mm-hmm.
BEERANID rhymes with tyrannid for a reason. I
Yeah.
love hordes, always have, but I feel that shooting is just stronger out of the gate. It's like if I'm in my DZ from deployment and I can see your guy, I can reach out and get you. Whereas, the melee horde would need to cross the battlefield under withering hellfire to maybe get a charge off, to maybe whiff everything and die. So I love the consistency of that. I love the speed of these guys. I think that this is something that not a lot of people talk about. It's something a lot of players get caught by in tournaments. These guys go fast. They are the Sanic of Kill Team, in my opinion. The other thing I love about these is my combo brain just loves the overlapping stacks and synergies of these guys.
Yeah.
They have an amazing toolbox, and the sum is greater than the individual parts. So it's like you get one of these guys on their own, pretty good, 4 or 5 damage, 4 shots, cool. But you start to get like, oh, he's got a buddy within 3 inches or within 6 inches, or these other guys within this range. And
Yeah.
you could be stronger at shooting. You could be more accurate at shooting. You could be harder to, remove from the board. So
Mm-hmm.
just a super cool team, in my opinion.
Awesome. So how about for that new player? Let's say they chose Pathfinders. What would you say the learning curve is roughly? How many games or so for you did it take before you started to it started to click for you and the play pattern started to make a little bit more sense?
So the funny thing on these is I would say that I'm still learning.
Yeah.
Uh, One of the interesting things of these is they've been nerfed quite a bit over time. As the game has progressed, there's been balance patches. We're very well supported this edition, and Tau are a very strong team, so they've been looked at and adjusted. So there's a lot of adjusting that goes on to there. But my first in real life game was on stream, LVO Game One. Not recommended. Um,
A lot of pressure.
yeah, start with using Compendium Tau is what I would say.
Okay.
Um, because you can use the exact same rules. You can get the legit team and just use everybody as Shah's laws and stuff and add rules as you kind of get used to it. Like, oh, I'm going to add a transspectral now, or oh, my guy's going to, be a marksman rail instead of just a normal rail. Um, and you'll get to learn that over time. But if that's for the very very new player. If you're into Kill Team and then going to switch teams and you're new to Tau, not necessarily new to Kill Team, I'd say 4 or 5 games or so. You,
Okay.
you, you should be starting to get good. Yeah.
That makes sense. Very cool. Very cool. So I'm gonna paint a picture for you. So let's say you're playing in a tournament, and I'm walking down, looking at the tables, and I walk by your game, and I stop, and it's your turn, and I watch for about a minute or so. What is the coolest, flashiest play you can think of that would grab my attention if I'm watching your game with Pathfinders?
Okay, so I got two. I got an offensive
Okay.
thing and a score-based one. The
All right.
offensive one is the grenade yeet. So
Yes.
when I talked about the speed that these guys have, you can have like a 21-inch grenade threat, like move one, round one. So that's something that a lot of people are like, whoa, when they first encounter it,
Yeah.
or when they're walking by and they see it. Like the most recent tournament, Tio's the Tio's wife was walking by, and I was like, "See, this is the thing." She's like, "Holy crap!"
So what's
Uh,
the thing? Tell us exactly how this play works.
okay, so you take a guy with a grenade. Does not have to be your grenadier, but just a guy with a grenade.
Yeah.
And what you're going to do is you're going to stack a lot of free dashes in the beginning. So you have your scouting phase dash. Uh,
Yes.
there's a once per game thing that if your leader is alive, he can say, "Hey, I like my team so much. I'm going to let you guys all make a free move as long as you're engaged. When you activate this model." So that's a second free dash when you activate that model. And then before the round kind of kicks off in the strategic phase, you have a free dash via recon sweep. So that's 3 free dashes for 9-inch move, a 6-inch normal move, and a 6-inch grenade range. So you've got this guy that just yeets way up
Yeah.
and then has 6 inches of additional range from where he ended, um, with the ability to throw the grenade. And if you do something like say end some of that movement on an objective marker before it kicks over to your thing, even if you lose initiative, you can still make that go off because of worthy cause. So yes, you're paying 3 CP for an all in at that point, but man, when that goes off, it can be 4 guys dead if it was an EMP grenade on the right target, or
Yeah.
their key sniper spotter combo that would be otherwise very hard to crack. You're able to just nope, deny them that, put it right back in their case, and
Yeah.
have a more fair game, quote unquote, on your end.
And you can have like first activation of the first round, and it's almost like game over if you get that play off,
Yeah.
which is pretty
Yep.
crazy.
So the other one is what I love to do round one, because I talked about these guys need to score a lot.
Hmm.
So I really like this points kind of combo that I do. So you can forward deploy a drone in your deployment. So he's 6 inches out of your DZ a lot of times on an objective, and all you need to do then is get your drone controller onto a point, and then through like those free dashes or deployment or something like that. And when it kicks over, kind of like as an in between move, is there maybe putting on a comms or something. It's not super super effective to the board state at this moment. It ships back to you, and you go tag with the drone controller, ship activation to that drone tags, and then depending on what drone it is, maybe he can run away, deny central control, get set up for vantage next turn, put a marker light on. It's just a really cool thing. And then they're like, oh crap, so that was one activation basically. In my turn, I got 2 on primary. And then the next time they ship back, I'm going to do a thing with my leader. Leader is able to reduce the cost of mission actions by 1 for himself or a model within 6 inches 1 time per game. So I'll get onto a vantage and score that real quick.
Yeah.
So it's just like you start snowballing and burying people in points. So that's 2 on primary, 1 on secondary, um, and yeah, that's something I really like. Another oh crap move is with all that movement that you have. Maybe instead of a grenade yeet, or in addition to grenade yeet, you can get on one of the opponent's objectives for something like loot and salvage, and loot their objective.
Yeah.
So the one that they deployed thinking they were going to get, you just get there first, tag it, and watch the soul leave the body. That's what I always say.
Very nice. Very nice. I love the
Yeah,
detail in these plays. There's just so much you can do with Pathfinders.
yeah.
Crazy toolbox. So, how about matchups wise? What would you say their best matchups are that you're going to see in the meta right now?
Um, I love playing against elites.
Yeah.
Um, Anytime that I can do that, because they're trying to simplify the board state, but you're so killy.
Yeah.
That you're doing that as well, and you're able to just score so many points and things like that. It goes really really well. The worst matchup I would say is the mirror.
Okay.
That that is just soul sucking.
Yeah.
But things generally that say no are hard, I would say. So Thousand Suns says no to my dashes.
Yeah. Okay.
Novitiates says no to my shooting with the blinding aura.
Yeah.
And I recently lost 2 games back to back versus Compendium Eldar in a tournament. That was really
Wow.
interesting. Yeah, turns out
Crazy.
their go fast is better than my go fast.
Yeah, that's kind of wild to think about.
Yeah.
Compendium Eldar. Yeah. So I was going to ask you what the worst matchups are, but you got right to that without even me asking. So making
Sorry.
my life easier here. So how about one thing that players really struggle with when they're especially when they're grappling with a new team is turn one. Turn one is such a hurdle for inexperienced players especially, and a lot of that the reps you get in playing a team is trying to figure out what exactly do I want to be doing on turn one. So what is your approach on turn one? Let's say on open board for Pathfinders.
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head because like you and I, we had a couple years of like TTS arena, right? Where it's
Yeah,
like your deployment is your turn one,
yeah,
and that still exists in me to this day. Turn one with the Pathies is max points 1 and
mm-hmm.
max pressure 2. So all of those big plays I mentioned, turn one moves. I put a lot of emphasis on turn one. I think it's the most important, most beautifully satisfying turn. It's where you see that elite versus horde dynamics kind of thing going off. Even if it's a mirror, even if it's elite versus elite, you get to see those dynamics most take place of the elite team trying to go for primaries and dying, and
Yeah,
the elite team doing their best to simplify the board state and maybe forego primaries and keep pace on kill based secondaries as they're thinning the board and
mm-hmm.
all this kind of stuff. But yeah, you're deploying for that grenade yeet a lot of time or not. There's some really neat stuff you can do with a drone forward deploy. If you're not going for the tag ship tag I mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
you can deploy him forward like the recon drone and conceal, dash up. Well, no, don't even think about that. Take the scouting phase,
Yeah,
flippy flap option. So
yes,
forward deploy, change him to engage or whatever. Now you can use recon sweep to do another dash. He gets up, and that was a free dash, so he's able to shoot and then ship activation over to a rail. Just stuff like that. Big thing I would say, your rail rifles are not necessarily there to kill their big scary. You can do that through grenades. Your basic guy has a 4 or 5 damage
yeah,
carbine. So your rails are there deployed overlooking objectives if I can. I want to deny you points and compress on the other side of the board. So that's a big thing that I would say also, in your turn ones and things like that. Deploy overlooking objectives because you have spots on the board where they will go, and you were there first. You're overlooking it, saying, come on out,"
yeah,
and you're either going to deny them that point if it's one they got to stand on to the end of the round, or they're trading body per point, and
right.
you can just be there the whole game. Like, okay, and then pretty soon they have to put offensive models on points duties
Mm-hmm.
and stuff. They got to change this board state or they're losing the game. And I need this objective over here. That starts to put you in a really comfortable place.
For sure, for sure. So, how about like a level up for Pathfinder? Something that for you maybe took several games before you realized. What's something like a secret spicy special tip that you can give to somebody getting into the faction that'll elevate their game right away?
The thing that made the biggest difference for me was realizing how powerful recon sweep is.
Mm-hmm.
I think that that's secretly your strongest tactic because suddenly at the beginning of the round, like within 1 minute of like the end of round one or end of round two versus the start of the next round, the board can be completely different. It can be a neaten up step. So if are like you look at the board and you say, oh, this guy's out a little too far or something like that, and there's a target and you're worried about, how initiative went or something like that, you can just like suck them in a little bit, neaten up, get that toe back in there. Or it can press an aggressive advance, get you 3 inches up. Now all of a sudden with that normal move, you might be in their DZ by this point, like turn
Yeah,
two with another dash and stuff with a rail rifle or something. And now you flanked them, like you're to the side of the board looking at their entire DZ. Or it could be, they've got chargers. Oh no, I'm about to get charged one of their models into 3 of mine. Well, guess what? You suck all them back 3 inches. Now they're out of charge range.
yeah,
That model is now SOL. Even if they played super clean to set that up, there's nothing they're going to be able to do with that now.
Yeah, and
And
what's
you will,
yeah.
yeah.
I was gonna say what's awesome is when you're making the choice to recon sweep, you know if you're going first or second. So I mean that
hmm
you kind of can control the pace of the game that way too.
Yeah, the other level up moment is fully utilizing your drone controller, because you can. So after a drone has activated, this is something that nobody remembers. You can let that thing activate again via the drone controller. And it's either a shoot action at a -1 that doesn't count as Overwatch, or a free dash. So I've used this to get guys into Savior Protocol's range that wasn't expected, and won things that way. And I've also used it to just like completely deny areas of the board, because it's like you move up, you shoot a guy, cool. Um, they think, okay, now that guy's not a problem. They move on to an objective where this guy would be able to see him. Well, drone controller now lets him shoot again at a -1. And these
Mm-hmm.
drones, you look at the gun drone, that's relentless, right? He's rerolling all failed. Um, or the recon drone, he's rerolling all ones with 6 shots. So that's another guy that basically gets smoked. And then they go, okay, now I can move it out there. Well, guess what? That didn't count as Overwatch. So now they move out onto that thing. Overwatch kicks over. You've been doing like double activations and stuff. Shipping. This guy gets to go now, and I'm going to activate these 2 at once and stuff like that. So a turn maybe they didn't think you'd get Overwatch. Suddenly you've got Overwatch, and
Yeah.
you've got a guy looking at that objective again. So that's another big level up moment, I would say, for people, is really, really using the few drones that you do get.
Awesome. So I have one more question for you before we wrap this up.
Sure.
And I've asked everybody this exact question, and I'm really excited for your answer. Do you have a favorite Christmas song? And if so, what is it?
Oh my God. I have a least favorite Christmas song.
What's that?
Wham.
Oh, that's the best one. You can't
Let
say that.
Oh
That's the best one.
no.
That's my favorite one.
Oh, let me think. Best Christmas song? Might need to edit out my silence for a minute. Um.
I've gotten a lot of
Oh,
interesting answers on this.
what is that called? The Holy Night or whatever?
Silent Night?
Silent Night. That's the one. I'll
Okay.
say Silent. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Very cool. Very cool. I haven't gotten a Silent Night yet. You're the first Silent Night. So, as always, thank you for joining me today, BEERANID. If you guys want to listen to BEERANID a little bit more, check out the Killzone podcast. There's a ton of great content over there that you can listen to him on. And again, thank you for coming on again.
It's my pleasure, brother. Happy holidays, everybody.
Yep. Special shout out to the subscribers. If you're listening and not subscribed, give us a subscribe. And special shout out to everybody at Patreon and everybody on the YouTube membership program. You guys are the best. And this is the 8th day of Kill Team, talking about Pathfinders, and signing out.